Hi guys, this is IceMayne. Today we're going to be breaking down the best Halo multiplayer games and ranking them. With the lead up to Halo Infinite, there's going to be a tremendous amount of players that may have never played Halo before, so I feel it's only fair to give them the lowdown on what to expect from previous titles. As with any ranking list, it's not going to please everyone, so I'm keen to hear all of your thoughts on not only my own list, but what you guys think the order should be, so make sure you comment below. Before we begin though, don't forget to hit them like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date with any Halo content. Kicking off our list, in at number 6, we have Halo 4. Now, while most Halo fans disagree on the ranking of the franchise's multiplayers, it's hard to find a Halo player who puts Halo 4 above the basement of such a list. Halo 4 doesn't have necessarily a bad multiplayer mode, but at the same time, it wasn't what Halo fans were looking for. It's clear from the outset that 343 was looking to change things up in an attempt to attract a new audience, probably the one that follows the Call of Duty series. Preset class loadouts, kill streak care packages, and a dedicated sprint button fundamentally changed the multiplayer mode into something distinctly un-Halo. Add to that the missing firefight mode, and I feel that 343 went a little too far in catering to another audience. Halo 4's multiplayer suffered an identity crisis that can likely be attributed to being the first game in the series not developed by Bungie. Generally speaking though, Halo 4's multiplayer felt like it was trying to be something it just wasn't. Next up on the list, we have Halo Reach. Now, while the campaign story soared, Reach's multiplayer was the first game to implement some of Halo's most controversial features, things like weapon bloom, armor abilities, and the contested sprint. Regardless of your feelings on these features though, one thing that can't be argued is how much they do change the gameplay and how radical their inclusion is in comparison to the base of the first 3 titles. While Reach's multiplayer subsequently saw changes to better balance some of these additions, it succeeded on the sheer breadth of its options. This is the most customizable and feature-rich of any Halo game. Whether you're messing around with the custom game settings, invasion, forge, or even firefight, the options were almost endless. Overall though, the lack of memorable or quality map designs, the bland colour palettes, and addition of features that divided the fanbase stopped it from going higher. Next up, we have possibly the most controversial placing on the list. Halo CE's multiplayer changed gaming forever by not only bridging the gap between PC and console, but by offering an iconic series of maps, modes, and weapons that live in infamy to this day. The game and the multiplayer that solidified the Xbox brand and single-handedly carried the original console to success. Combat Evolved's multiplayer was a late addition to the game, and it almost shipped without it. Instead, the world got to know Halo's weapon toolbox and the power of the pistol. Today, Halo Combat Evolved Sandbox seems a little bare bones by modern standards, and to be expected, it's not aged particularly well. The physics are slow and clunky, the gameplay bland and inconsistent, and while half the maps are stellar, the other half fall quite flat. It's only natural that a 19-year-old game would show its age, but Halo's slow movements and absurd weapon balance feel especially dated. It's entirely possible to still enjoy a game of Halo CE, but it also does feel like this really was the template for what was to come in the future. Over the years, since the release of Halo 5, it has actually started to be revered in terms of multiplayer. Not the campaign, that's still garbage, but Halo 5 continued the departure from the core of the series that began with Reach and Halo 4. This one has so many additions to gameplay and movement, such as aiming down sights, thrusters, ground pound, slide, infinite sprint, Spartan charge. It's a lot, and some of these are pretty bad. For example, a lot of people didn't like the clambering feature, which restricts your ability to shoot while moving around the map. In previous Halo games, you could jump, shoot and turn all at the same time without being restricted to an animation. Whilst these features aren't for everybody, especially die-hard fans of the original trilogy, Halo 5's multiplayer is a much improved rendition of the direction 343 decided to take the series in. For newer and younger fans of the Halo series, they do consider the game stellar. Halo 5 removed the previous game's loadout system and introduced a variety of new modes and tweaks designed to appeal to old school fans and modern players alike. The skill gap in Halo 5 is actually one of the largest across the series, and I think with terms of the multiplayer, variety is really the word to use. Halo 5 offers more play options than any other Halo, even before you take into account the infinite possibilities offered by the new Forge mode. Its gameplay may not quite be as solid as the series' finest hours, but it is generally a very underrated experience. Deciding between Halo 2 and Halo 3 for who wants to take the top spot is literally a flip of the coin. Halo 2 was the cornerstone of Xbox Live, and so Halo 3, coming in hot on Microsoft's new console, had a lot to live up to. Could it take over where Halo 2 left off and serve as the premier Xbox Live experience, sucking away our time as it sucked in players? The answer was a resounding yes. Halo 3 picked up right where Halo 2 left off. Everything from weapon count to gameplay modes were bigger and mostly better, and the maps were almost universally brilliant and featured some of the greats from past games also. Add to this a more robust version of Halo 2's dual-wielding system, a few new vehicles, and the incredible Forge for creating new multiplayer maps and modes, and Halo 3 did for the 360 what Halo 2 did for the original Xbox. Considered by many to be the finest overall Halo game ever made, Halo 3's multiplayer is certainly a series highlight that sets the standard in many ways. Halo 3's multiplayer brilliance is as much about things it adds, most notably its emphasis on equipment, which seems to be the route Infinite is taking, as it is about the things it simply does better than its predecessors. This is a great experience that emphasizes a core group of weapons, reasonably good balance, and some truly incredible maps. If you play Halo 3 on the Master Chief Collection, to this day it's a very fun experience. Halo 3 set the benchmark for what a Halo multiplayer should feel like. For all that could be said about Halo 2's multiplayer, its weapon variety, its array of outstanding maps, which, might I add, may still be the greatest collection of maps in the history of the FPS genre, its perfectly tuned balance, nothing holds as much weight as how good it feels. There's a reason that Halo 2 was a multiplayer staple for years. No other shooter from the Halo series or any other has come close to matching the feeling you get when you hold the controller and you go in for the kill. One thing that made Halo 2 succeed was its simplicity, from the gameplay, the glitches, the maps to the ranking system. The 1 to 50 is one of the most loved ranking systems all time, and for good reason. You win, you go up, you lose, you go down. The sense of achievement when actually reaching a high level, for me personally, has still not been matched on any other game. This was the original skill-based matchmaking, meaning every game was a battle, but you knew the games would be fair. Apart from the odd time that you'd get modded or standby, bridged, cheated, basically. The inclusion of said glitches, like the infamous BXR, super bounces, and many more, just highlighted the fun people could spend hours perfecting, even if they did break the game at times. Map designs were incredible and perfectly balanced, with majority of Halo games since remaking their own version of Halo 2's to bring them forward with today's games. Let's not forget, Halo 2 was also instrumental in growing the esports circuit to what it is today, with the likes of MLG and LAN events becoming mainstream. Esports really did use MLG and in particular Halo to skyrocket into the mainstream, and Halo 2 was the focus. The competitive play for Halo 2 was unmatched, and with there not being a great deal of games available online at the time of the original Xbox, the population levels online were incredible. Always games to be found. Overall, Halo 2's multiplayer at its peak was one of the greatest multiplayers of all time, and even today, the game holds well due to its simplicity. Halo 2 Anniversary is actually my favourite in terms of gameplay and feel currently, and it built upon the shoulders of the original. Halo 2 goes down as a gaming icon, and in my opinion, is the greatest Halo multiplayer ever made. That wraps up the video today, guys. Let me know your rankings in the comments below. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit them like and subscribe buttons, and as always, until next time, stay frosty.